Okay, we're going to talk about parent functions. Parent functions should be really easy and fast. Okay, so we're talking about climbers, and hopefully you'll notice in the graph that we're looking for things that you notice from the graphs. So I'll do mine up here. So we have Finn is f of x, which is the solid one, and Lucia is g of x, so she's the dotted one. So I guess you might notice that Finn is steeper, which means he's climbing faster. Lucia started higher. At 100, and Finn started at 50. Well, it's a bad 5, but you get it. Okay. They both stopped after 3.6 hours. But Lucia had not gone as... Lucia started higher and ended lower. You may have noticed a couple other things, and that's totally cool. But what we're doing is just seeing there's a lot of things we can interpret from the graph. So let's write the equations. So Finn's slope is, he's going up 50 and over 0.4. So his slope is 50 over 0.4. And Lucia, her next perfect point is probably right here. So 51, 52. So hers is going to be 200 over, she goes from 0 to 2. So hers is going to be 100 feet per hour. And I guess I could do Finn's the same place. His is going to go from 100 to 300. So his is going to be 2. Oh, I did it wrong, didn't I? 51, 52, 50. Okay, so hers is 250. His is 200 over 2 hours. So he's going 100 feet per hour. Lucia is going 250 over 2. So she's going 125 feet per hour. Okay, so her slope is a little bit less steep, and Finn started at 50, she started at 100. So I'm hoping when I get down here I can still read all this. Okay, so f of x is, that's Finn, he is 100x plus 50, and Lucia is 125x plus 100. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, they're similar and that they're both increasing, positive slope, started above 0. Okay, and in the same place. I think it was 3.6 hours. Okay, so those are ways they're the same. Okay, so these functions are a part of a family of functions. The transformations, they're transformations of the most basic function in this family of functions. We call it the parent function, because it's the one that all other functions come from, and we write it f of x equals x. So y equals x is the parent function. It's the linear parent function. We're going to talk about other parent functions after Christmas. Okay, so here's the parent function graphed. The domain and the range are both all real numbers, right? Because they go on forever. What do you notice about the slope? Hopefully you notice that the slope is 1. Hopefully you notice that the y-intercept was 0. Okay, so if this is our parent function, then looking at the mountain climbing one, well, both Finn and it's hard to compare the slope because this parent function slope is such a different thing. But f of x, which is Finn, and g of x, which is Lucia, both were shifted up because they started above the 0, 0, and they were steeper than the parent function. So when we add, this is going to be really short. Okay, so when we add a b value, I'll have to find some place to put this. Okay, because when we add a b value, I left all this room up here, didn't I? All right, you know what? And we're going to talk about this tomorrow also. Okay, so let's skip that and I'll sum it up in a sec. Okay, so linear functions. Hopefully you realize that that's not linear, yes, linear. Hope you noticed in here, linear and linear. How do I know the other ones aren't linear? Because they have x to the power greater than 1. And we're also going to talk about these functions after Christmas. We're going to talk about parabolas, like this one. We're not going to talk about these, but we're going to talk about exponential graphs that go up real fast. But we're not going to talk about those right now. We're just talking about linear functions. So when we're talking about linear functions, y equals x is the parent function. When you add and m is equal to 1, so when m is greater than 1, your line gets steeper. As you can imagine, when m is less than 1, your line gets flatter or less steep. And then when you add a b value, if b is greater than 1, your line shifts up. And if b is less than 1, it's negative, then your line shifts down. And we're going to talk about all this Monday night, when we talk about transformations, because basically these are transformations. When you look at the rock climbing graphs, every time we did something that was different than y equals x for the parent function, the line got steeper or it moves up or down. So that is transforming the line from the parent function, and I'll see you Monday.